personal life, you're not potentially incredibly busy. Ultimately, in your professional life, you're very busy at this stage as well. So I have to kind of ask, what's the mood like in Grimgotts right now as we approach the release date of your new album, The Time of the Wolfrider?
Oh, well, it's just we've been working on it for such a long time. It's almost a bit, we've had so many sort of plans and like so many ideas about the launch and the release and stuff. And it's almost like, it's fine, it's finally getting here, sort of thing. If we ticked all the boxes, we got all the merch sorted, and so it's a little bit. The excitement for the record is sort of being a little bit outweighed by that. But I guess, like, ultimately, like, I just can't wait for people to hear it. Like, I think if you're a Grimgotts fan, then I think you will love this album. And hopefully, like, we might reach out to some like new people. Hopefully, we can spread the wings a bit further. But I'm just so excited for like our core fans to listen to it because I'm so hopeful that they'll love it as much as we do.
Well, obviously, September 27th is the release date, and we've had plenty of taste so far. The core fans have had plenty of taste so far, as well as new ones. Ancient Voices, Hear Them Calling, Return of the Sea, Ride into Destiny, all very well-received singles. Are you pleased with the response to what's been released so far? Does it go some ways to kind of ease your mind regarding how you think the full thing might be received?
Yeah, I mean, I think like you say, I think they have generally been like well received. I mean, we wanted to start off with the Ancient Voices track,
Yeah.
just because it's for me, it's like one that it's that sort of quite sort of how to describe it? It's like a punch in the face of Grimgotts. It's probably the most uplifting track on the album. It's powerful, it's fast, it's catchy, and we just thought, right, we'll get that one out there, and just hopefully it will, people might not be going like, oh, I'm losing my mind over this, but like they'll get like the tone of the album and have a nice little dose of Grimgotts. And then, strategically, we thought we'd Return to the Sea, that one much heavier than what we've done, and so Dave wrote that track as I'm the guitarist, as opposed to myself, where I write most of the singles I normally write. But Dave is such a good writer and such a great player, so we really wanted to get that one out there and sort of again set that bit of a tone for the album. That there is going to be some heavier stuff in there. And yeah, like we saw some good we saw you guys react to it, and I always forget your co-host name. What's it?
Brendan.
Brendan, yeah, because he's always very skeptical about Grimgotts, and I love it. I love hearing his skepticism about it. But it was, I think, for the first time, he was like, "It's not a bad track, actually." So I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, we're finally sort of breaching his, his sort of taste and stuff, which is great." And then obviously with Riding to Destiny, that was one of the big sort of theatrical tracks off the album, and we were really excited to see how people took to that, because we think, of course, like there's like all of those tracks are very like core Grimgotts. They're quite eclectic at the same time. Like I said, we've got sort of power metal, like I don't want to say standard power metal, because you know what we're like. We like to chuck in some folky influences in there, but very like I guess a typical Grimgotts track, and then we say the heavier and more theatrical, and those themes, are quite sort of prominent throughout the album. So yeah, particularly with Riding to Destiny, we got really good feedback on that, some really lovely comments and stuff. So yeah, it's made us really excited just to get the album out there, really, and just hopefully, like I say, hopefully people like it.
I'm confident they will. I've heard the full thing. It is it's a stunner of a release, the greatest thing you've done to date. But I know you know this. That's the thing. I know this is your strongest work to date. And I know that's obviously what we would say because, of course, newest album and all that. But it does bear repeating, and I think your confidence shines through, and I think it exists for a reason.
Oh, thank you so much. So lovely to hear you say that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean the first track as well, like for me, that's I really love that one. I really hope that's just gonna really draw the listener in as well. Like this whole, almost sort of like Viking metal-y type, obviously very corny, type sort of Viking metal type riffs going on in there, and it's fast and it's heavy, and there's really, he worked really hard to get the storytelling into that track. And one of my favorite parts of the whole album is sort of like the middle eight of that section, where it's got like a call and response between like one army, and then it goes. And I was when it came out, when we were recording it, we were like, Oh yeah, like calling the vocals like, yes, put another harmony there. Let's get another harmony in there. And then there's like, we listen back to it, like, oh my gosh, like it sounds like so sort of grand and everything. And then obviously we finished that track with like the big power metal choruses, and I'm getting notes that I didn't even realize I could hit, sort of thing. So like, yeah, I'm super excited for people to experience that song. And then like because of course because it's a concept, like I really hope the story comes through as you listen as well. That's something I'm really hopeful for.
Yeah, about that. Was the initial vision for the time of the Wolfrider always going to be a conceptual release? So, the earliest point where you want to create a new album, was concept always there?
Yes, 100%. Because I mean, as I know, I think you've sort of followed us as we've been going for the last sort of
Yeah.
a little while now, and it's always been Grimgotts has always been a bit of a strange sort of project. I think I even did an Instagram post not too long ago because I met up with a mate of mine who I started the band with, but it was like a silly internet project sort of thing. And then I sort of met up with him, and then I met up with Jack, who's the new bass player who's in Questbound. Um, and then Mo, the drummer, was just knocking about, so we went down the boozer, and I just sort of saw this photo up. I was like, right, I've got the very first Grimgotts number with the very newest one, and it just really got me thinking about like it started off with this like internet band, and like we never had any intention of playing live, and it was always just like let's just make some records for fun, and like yeah, some good stuff came out of it, and we did the first album Lions at Sea. I had like we didn't have Mo on the drums and stuff, and so it was all just sort of like, oh, let's do it for a bit of a laugh. And then you finally got to this moment where we got a full band, and we did what I kind of see as our debut album. Really was the Dragons of the Ages in 2019. I don't really see the stuff before that as almost the same band. It's almost like, I don't know, it is the same band, but it isn't at the same time. Like I say, it's a very different beast because we were when Mo joined, sort of, I think it was the either the back end of 2018, roughly, I can't remember. That was when we're like, okay, we actually are a band, and we did Dragons of the Ages as a concept, and it went down really, really well. Like we were really like surprised, and the story is just like ridiculous and stuff. I'm not sure how well it like you can follow it on that record, but it shines really well. And then of course we did the 3 EPs, which so we were like, oh, the storytelling thing is quite it seems to go down quite well, so we did the EPs, the Tale of Sagas Legend, and then we consolidated them and had that as an album. And in my opinion, like the records, the songwriting, the performance, everything, the production on Tale of Sagas Legends is better than Dragons of the Ages, but it just isn't as popular. Like even now, like we have all of our like highest played songs, bar the new ones, are mostly from Dragons of the Ages, which surprises me because it's I think there's some great tracks on that on Tales, Saga and the Legends. I think that I'm surprised don't get as much play. So like For the Power, for example, I think that's a really like strong track of ours. Our figures are a bit skewed because we've got two versions, because we've got like the EP version and the remastered. So I do often wonder about that, if that's had an impact. But what I had to do is work with, I guess, with the data that I've got, and I was like, right, Dragons of the Ages is more popular, so let's do a concept album. Like clearly that works well for a record, and so yeah, we went full in. The way that the process worked is that I came up with the story, and then I sort of separated it into like 10, like, I don't want to say chapters because that makes it sound far more grandiose than it actually was. It's more like 10 sections of the story, of this basic story, that could be put into tracks. And then I did the track allocations to the boys, and then I go, right, this track is about this. It needs to have this sort of like tempo, it needs to have this sort of element. It needs to be, having this sort of feel. And then we go ahead and write. And you'd be surprised at like just how much more like story and character you can get into a song if you start with a brief rather than doing it the other way around. If that makes sense.
No, it does make a lot of sense. I mean, at the start, what you're saying, you of course said this is not new territory for you. Story building, world building, and so on is part and parcel of who and what you are. And if you have followed along with you for the last couple of releases and so on, that's very, very clear. But it's all good and proper saying, okay, you get your brief down, and this is what you want to do. But that concept, clarity, particularly when you're looking at something with the size and scope of this album, how clear was the concept early on?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, the story never ever altered. Um, it was always. Yeah. Well, I tell a bit of a lie actually. There was one alteration because we had a member change. So we had
Mhm.
Nelson, a guy called Nelson, who was on the bass, and Nelson's like was really strongly sort of orientated towards sort of he likes like Asian themes and stuff. So we were going to have part of the story because to allocate hints and tracks, and they were basically the other point is to work towards people's strengths. So for example, like Return to the Sea and Wings of Wonder are heavier. That's more Dave's strength because he fundamentally he's like a thrash metal head.
Yeah.
Sort of stuff, which is just like I don't even really know what thrash metal is to some extent. So like all those sort of stuff like goes over to him. But actually, it was well. Don't get me wrong. Sounds bad me saying this. It is somewhat fortuitous Nelson leaving because actually we then reallocated those tracks. I had to adjust the story, and then one of those tracks that newer tracks that came out was the Riding to Destiny song, which I think is one of the strong. So yeah, sad Nelson's left the band, but then on the upside, we sort of probably came up with a stronger concept that works. Probably generated one of our best tracks from this album. So swings and roundabouts, and also other positives. We now got Jack in the band, who's a legend. So awesome. So yeah, so apart from that one like tiny adjustment, and it was quite small really. The it was basically the story is exactly the same, but rather than being in like an eastern part of the map, it was sort of brought down further west. So apart from that, yeah, no, there was always a clear vision.
But it's good to hear that because particularly as early stages, it can be often quite confusing, quite trying to nail what you want to do. Lots of ideas floating around, and also you as an artist, both from the band perspective, but as an individual, you want to showcase your growth, right? You talk about what how Grimgotts has grown to this point, but you personally, as an artist, were you quite clear you wanted to showcase what you had learned over the past few years?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I find that you know, we've always done things very what's the word like quite I don't know what the word is like rustic, I guess, in the way that we sort of approached our music, like the way we've written it and then the way we've recorded it. But as with the Tales, Sagas and Legends, we sort of changed our approach a little bit to writing, and I learned like I was like I'm a much better singer than I thought I was, for example.
Mm.
And so, and it's just because I used to when I was younger, I was a lot more disciplined when it came to music. I had singing lessons, and I just kind of stopped doing it. And the only time I ever really sung was just like for fun and like where I had a few beers down my neck and I, fancy getting up and doing some singing. Whereas I was like, okay, let's actually be disciplined. So, I started to, practice and then working with a really, really good engineer as well for the recordings. And really taking the time. And then because we had a few more gigs as well, like I had to really get my voice. So I was like, yeah, I'm a better singer than I thought I was. So I was like, let's make right choruses where I can perhaps show off what I didn't, like my range a little bit. But also just with like picking up like different, just challenging myself a little bit more. Because with some of our older tracks, like I guess I've always written most of the music, and I was always sort of staying in a bit of a comfort zone, not because I didn't want to challenge myself, just because um, you know it was working as a formula that worked. So you got tracks like Sagas, for example, which I love that song. But it was quite a safe song for me to write with that sort of style of chorus. And then also, other tracks like Land of Tomorrow, again, like I love that song, but very safe. So then the Amber Dawn track, the first one, that like I say is a lot heavier than what I would normally write, trying to put like different theatrical elements into it. And then the last track, what's it called? Lord of Battle. Yeah, that's one I wrote as well. Again, like
Mm.
it's sort of like if you take it out of context, if you don't listen to it with the album, it's sort of like on a much lower register. Um, and I did that purposely, so like a key that I'm less familiar with.
Okay.
So when I showed it to a mate of mine, he was like, "Oh, he sounds like you're not like." He used the expression "not as comfortable," but really, that's kind. I was like, yeah, that's kind of the point. And I was like, when you listen to everything as an album, you don't always want everything like all the way up here, sort of thing. You want to have some different. And I think it works when you listen to the whole album. And of course, we finish on the key change. We make sure we get to the top notes anyway. Make sure give the people what they want, sort of thing. But yeah, it's yeah, definitely. I've challenged myself from a right perspective. And I think all the guys would say the same thing. Everyone, trying. Fabio is really, he really pushed himself with the orchestrations, and it really, really shows and comes through. And same with Mo, like on drums, like Mo. Mo is an exceptionally amazing drummer, and he's in some really like he's in Kid Bookie. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I am. I did
And
not know that. I did not know he was Kid Bookie's drummer. Damn, that's
yeah, he
great.
is. And don't get me wrong, like the music's great, but Grimgotts is an opportunity for Mo to just unleash his ability, sort of thing. Like, don't get me wrong, Mo is not like a big power metal guy. In fact, I don't even know if he listens to power metal at all. But all I do know is that he loves being able to just go like, so like he'll be like, oh, how do you want the drums? We'll send him like a little bit of a demo, and I'll just be like, mate, just go mental at the end. So I was like, just go. Then he's like, okay, cool. And he comes back and he like shows me like I was done. I was like, oh my gosh, like it's so like OCT, but that's a great thing for a power metal. You want it over the top, don't you?
Yeah, it certainly does fit. That's incredible. The old way it works in this country, where everyone's in different bands and doing different projects and so on, because there's not enough drummers in the country.
Oh, absolutely.
Sticking to challenges, then, right? When you look at the overall creative process from beginning to end, so from the very first riff being written to the last note playing out in the studio, what else, aside from, as you say, pushing yourself vocally, what else did you find challenging?
Well, actually, probably the most challenging part of it links directly to what you just said in terms of, recording, really, because, yeah, Mo is one of few drummers knocking about, and he's in several bands. And so what we would end up doing a lot of the time is that I like to just get all my recording done because, I mean, as I don't know, singing in general, like I'm not just saying this to sound dramatic, it's absolutely exhausting. like when you're in the studio and you are, working out two tracks and you're sort of going for like how long would I normally be in there for? Maybe like 7-8 hours or something like that. It is exhausting, and you have to be really disciplined. So you can't, you shouldn't really be drinking coffee. You shouldn't be having dairy, no booze, all these things. So it's always a case of like, right, let's just get like as much done as possible. So I ended up getting most of my recording done. I think in maybe like 1 month. It was a while ago, but I just got it all done. Whereas Mo, he will be like, if he can find some like time to get it in between, not just like these bands, but also his job, his personal life. And, that was the same for everyone, really. And like, it was always one of those things where like, there was never really a problem. Like, no one was ever sort of like angry about it because it's just life. But it was always like, we basically had to just take the approach that things will just get done when they're done. And we know they will get done eventually. But that was the most sort of difficult part of it because, for example, if I'm being completely honest with you, like we kind of wanted to be getting the album out like a few months sooner.
Right.
But we released Ancient Voices in April in the hope that actually the album would be out probably like end of July. But then things changed and things got put back. And there's loads of things, it's other things, we're working with this record label who've been great so far. Like we have I couldn't say a bad word about them. They've been fantastic, but there's admin to sort out and it's trying to tie all that admin together. So we were like, right, okay. So Ancient Voice is already out there. And then, we've already sort of put some promotion out to put Return to the Sea. So we're like, okay, we can't obviously go back on that. So, you know, we will just have to try and align everything and get it out as soon as we possibly can. So those are the challenges that I guess any sort of band of our sort of size will probably always face, and it just is what it is, really. And I like to think that people are aware of that, and like, you know, they know that we're not, you know, doing 9 to 5 in the studio and then we're working on it all the time. Like it's genuinely a case of you know, when you can, because it's such a passion project, and so, you know, you never want it to, you know, stop. But I guess there's you know, things come into play, and a massive one, for example, this year, where we've done, apart from like obviously working on the admin side of the album, get the production done, we haven't played any gigs at all. We haven't done any rehearsals because, one, Dave had a baby. So
quite an important thing. Yep.
Yeah. So he was like, yeah, I'm gonna be out of action for a while. And then Mo's done a couple of tours, and then I bought a house at the start of the year. So I was like, okay, I can't really start whacking, you know, money into a recording pot. So don't get me wrong, we don't stay idle. Like we're already planning, like we've already got the whole concept for the next album ready. We've even written some stuff. But it is crazy because like we were chatting about it. We were like, oh, you know, how long is it going to be before we're going to get the next album out? We're like, oh, well, I guess we'll finish writing hopefully like by the end of the year. Then maybe we can finish recording by like maybe the end of next year. And we're like, oh shit. So it's going to be like 2.5, 3 years. You know, it just takes so long for this stuff to get over the line. It was different as well when we were younger, when we were in our 20s. You know, we were all living in London. I had a flat in Greenwich, and I had not a particularly stressful job, and I had no neighbors. I lived on top of a bank, and I could just record whenever I want. I could just sit there, think about Grimgotts and everything. And I mean, everyone was the same age in the band, so it didn't really matter. Whereas now we're like, yeah, we'll find some time to do that at some point, you know. And it's horrible, isn't it? Getting older, but
it is what it really is what it is. You summed it up as simply as that, and it's something everybody should be acutely aware of. But the fact that you even got to this stage and you are about to release a brand new album as of the time of recording, a little over a week, is an accomplishment in itself. Everything else hopefully comes afterwards. Some success, live shows, and all of that. Patience. People should learn to be patient at this stage, and I think I think most people are. I think they are.
I think so too. We've never had anyone message us saying, like, criticizing in terms of you know, not playing live enough, because that's the thing. That was like, you know, that was because we've had a very strange experience with playing live as well, because like I said, we started playing live in like 2018, 2019, and we were getting on a little bit of a run. Then of course COVID happened. And so we were like, okay, so our run came to a bit of an end. And then I think we played one show last year, which was great, really enjoyed it. And then of course, like I said, this year, given some stuff, like I say, just we've decided that we wouldn't play live this year.
Yeah.
Our absolute plan and hope is to play as much as we can next year. But even then, this is the thing. Like, I reckon, like, realistically, we might hope to be able to do like one gig, maybe like 2 or 3 months. And then when you break that out over the course of the year, it's still only going to be sort of like 3 or 4 gigs. You know, that doesn't sound like much at all. But that's the other thing, like, as well, which I know people appreciate. But the effort just to play like one gig, I mean, it's astronomical. You know, we played up in York, and we had to. You know what, we had to get you know, obviously we'll have to rehearse for it, and because we don't all live in London anymore, that's a challenge. Then we have to get up to York, and then we have to, you know, book hotels and stuff, like it, even just for like that one show, which, don't get me wrong, it's so worth it. Like, it's such an amazing feeling and experience, but bloody hell, is it a lot of effort. So, you know, if I started saying, oh yeah, we'll play a gig every month, my girlfriend would leave me.
Yeah.
You know,
It's not gonna. It's not going to happen. Not only that, as well. Ultimately, unless you're walking out of these shows a lot more richer than you went in, which
well,
of course
yeah.
isn't happening. It
Yeah.
is always going to be this much of a challenge.
Of course, but that's what you just said there as well. Like, it's so the point, but also like, you know, I really hope that people like know that like that because, you know, we of course we're a non-profit. You know, we
Of
don't
course.
make money. I mean, I'm hoping like we'll start getting to a bit of a point where you know, we personally have to invest less. But yeah, when we play a show, we don't make money. We don't make money. We might, if we're lucky, like be reimbursed like the cost of it. But that's who cares? It's not the point. Like we are
Yeah.
doing it that we're doing it because we love it, and if people love it as well, then that just doubles like the satisfaction from it. You know, but it's so nice to see some messages and people saying like this music that you've put so much like effort into, like that they like it. Like it's such a lovely feeling, and it does. You know, I think it like yeah. As much as we love making it, don't get me wrong, you're always going to get people that don't like your music, and that's fine. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
And also, you always want criticism as well, because you always want to get better. But like, I guess if like, yeah, we released an album or a record, and like, yeah, like it was overwhelming. Once you go, okay, my heart isn't quite in this at the moment from that. So yeah, it's all about the passion. It's all about the love.
Of course, and it's clear, based off the new album, that it's a lot of passion and love in it. Enough so that there must have been a lot of rewarding experiences, a lot of rewarding moments of this entire creative process. What were some of yours?
So certainly, like recording and then knowing you get those good takes is like one of the best. Like I love it when you go right. I think you know really nailed that take. And then when you start layering the harmonies on, and like you know, we're just chatting. And we go, right, let's just like isolate the vocals, and then you're like, yes, like we freaking nailed it. And particularly like some of the power screams, like particularly the best one that I can highlight, which is a moment which I will always stay with me, was first take, and I am showing off here. First take, there's a power scream at the end of the Amber Dawn. I
Mm.
nailed it first freaking take. And I just hit it so well. And I was like, I just remember the producer going, like, fuck me. It's like, that's high. That's seriously high. I was like, I don't think I've ever like hit like a power scream as well as that. So that was amazing. And then just hearing it like the most exciting thing though is that because obviously we don't well not obviously we don't record together. So we'll hear the individual elements. We demo it obviously, and then everyone, you know, we get a good idea of what, and then you know we produce it, and then when you get that first draft through, and yeah, it's like it's so exciting. I'm like, I'll be like, I'll stop whatever I'm doing, you know, to like to go ahead and listen to it. So I love all that, and like it's the excitement of getting those tracks, recording it, so much fun, and yeah, I mean it's the whole process. Like even just like receiving the artwork was
Yeah.
like wow, that's like you know we were so happy with it. It came through. Um, so yeah, like there's it's just so many rewarding moments.
I'm glad. I'm glad there were so many. But from a listener perspective, one of the most rewarding things is that this is your heaviest record to date. Something you yourselves have described as being the case, and it's something I can concur with, can agree with. Was it this, the fact that it is a heavier record overall, natural for you, part of your growth as artists and an evolution of the band, or was it kind of dictated by the concept and the world building?
I would say both because absolutely the concept it is meant to be sort of set sort of like you know it's sort of Viking Northman type, so naturally like that was going to come through as being a bit heavier, you know, particularly like you know it just naturally is going to come through, but also we did want to move a little bit away from, you know, we've done a lot of you know, piety shanty stuff, and like we love that, and don't get me wrong, but that will always be like a prominent part of Grimgotts. So I think even on this album, you know, it does come through, but like you know, we wanted to sort of show that like we have, you know, more to our arsenal than just sort of like that type of stuff, rather than just being like we could, you know, it's just like power metal and like with like in the odd sort of like shanty type stuff. Like we can do more than that, and I can categorically guarantee you, like with any future records, it will be a similar sort of thing. It will be Grimgotts, but it won't be necessarily heavy. It won't, but it will be different. I mean, if I was to sort of give you a bit of a sneak preview in terms of what we're thinking with that, like the story is very much more something you'd see on the West End as opposed to like on an episode of Vikings. So where's that music going to take us? You know, is it going to, will there be folky, will there be shanty stuff in there? Hell yeah. There is going to be lots of other elements, you know, of course there's going to be. So we always want to progress, but it's so important that with every album, it's undeniably a Grimgotts album. That's my only like rule. And that's going back as well, just real quickly to like what you were saying about what do you find satisfying. Something that I absolutely love reading, because I've worked so hard and so have the lads to make this the case, is that we sound like there is a Grimgotts sound, and it's and it's identifiable. And when people say you sound like this is undeniably Grimgotts and you sound different, like there is something, I love that, because that's the worst thing about a lot of heavy metal music, isn't it? You're like, you can listen to a song and be like, this is such a good song, but I've heard it like 100 times from like and you know, it's so easy to fall into that trap. And trust me, we know we have fallen into that trap in like on other records in the past. And I'm not saying like we are the most original ever, but I do believe that there is the way, the sort of melodies that we write, the way we orchestrate, the way we write our tracks, there is a sound there. And I love reading that people recognize that, because like I think it's really important. I think it's so important for music to have a sense of identity.
It's hard, particularly when, particularly because obviously we like to pigeonhole bands in genres, regardless of if you have a medley or an eclectic array on show, you will inevitably get pigeonholed. For example, you get pigeonholed in power metal, of course, but there are so many layers to that. Obviously, that kind of puts a ceiling above you, so to speak, and then it's about breaking through that. Do you have a kind of strategy for trying to get as many ears and eyes on this record as you can?
Well, one of the first things we've done differently for this one is that we were always working with a little label, and to be honest with you, it was a nice little deal, because it was a little distribution label, and they would say, right, we'll make X amount of your CDs. If you're happy for us to sell them, we'll send you a bunch, and then you can sell them. We were like happy days, particularly on our first records and like the EPs. That's just perfect, you know. But we kind of knew that we wanted to work with like a more professional, distributor this time. So by signing up with Elevate, that was kind of the process for that. That was one of the big things for us. We were like, they're going to help us get out there far more so, because I guess the strategy does become a bit limited. Of course, we go through Spotify, we do everything, and we send it to reviewers such as yourselves, and like, we do all that. But then, it does get to a little bit of a point. I mean, in terms of something that a lot of, I think, smaller bands do, they can get like a big name on that can help. We have sort of had some decent some good names in the past. I think it's one of the guys from Dirdian played on our records, but that was a little strategy. But in terms of like, we really thought like if the Elevate will help with this. So that's kind of the main difference in terms of the release strategy, like basically relying on them to help us along the way. And we'll just see, really. My other sort of hope is that, the songs are better, in my opinion, therefore hopefully more people will like them, and therefore hopefully the algorithms of Spotify and whatnot will pick up on it, and hopefully it will put it in a few more people's playlists. That's perhaps a little bit wishful or tenuously putting things together. I don't know, but we'll see. But like I say, it's quite hard to strategize. We had a lot of, I think with Sagas Legends, we did a lot of like little images and stuff where we put like quotes, and don't get me wrong, they look kind of cool, but they didn't get like a huge amount of traction. So we sort of scrapped that, and we do our lyric videos and stuff to try and make it a bit more engaging, like from a social media perspective, to try and make those posts look a little bit more I guess sort of increase visibility on it. But Yeah, it's difficult. It's really difficult.
It
That's the
is. I
only
don't
thing.
have the answer for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately what it does come down to is like if you have good music, um, and I think the one other piece of the puzzle is like what we were just talking about earlier, which we perhaps lack on a little bit, is the playing live. Like if you play these shows and then people will pick up on it. I mean, we played at Warhorns
Yep.
last year, and we sold out of our merch. I don't think anyone there had heard of us. And it does put you into perspective. You go, we really should do bloody more of this, when we can. And so, yeah, we hopefully as well. Like we are expecting. Well, I say expecting. We're hoping for some gig offers on when the album is out. The one I'm really hoping for is Power Metal Quest Fest, because that was the first gig we did, and it was great back then. And like hopefully we've got a better slot arsenal of songs to deliver. And I really love that. I did see a post about them potentially struggling, which is a bit of a shame, but
Yeah.
hopefully it will continue. But yeah, any sort of like festivals like that, like we just hope we get asked to do, and hopefully there'll be people there, and hopefully they'll like us if they hear us.
Well, we're trying to do our small little bit to try and get you on the goddamn Bloodstock bill because we think you would fit that to a T.
Well, that would be amazing.
Okay, what about this? So, Andria, of course, this world building that you have done to this point, and that we're going to continue going as we go forward. Would you like to expand on this world building beyond music at any stage? Sort of, I don't know, start to map it out, create other forms of storytelling to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it's a bit narcissistic of me to call it Andrea because it's quite clearly named after me. But
You know what? I really didn't give that much thought until this album when it sort of the penny dropped, and I was like, it's no big deal.
my mate, the guy who does the narrations on it, actually, he was like, "Have you named that bloody world after yourself?" I was like, "Yeah." He went, "You are such a bad." I was like, "Yeah, I am." I mean, I've always, I was, it kind of it really is really helpful to have the world when we're coming up with these concepts. I don't want to like move out of it really. Obviously, we started with like the Daft Harry Potter stuff, and then
Yep.
we moved into the sort of the sort of nautical stuff, and it just opens up lots of little windows because, for example, the singles like Ignite the Flame. And then we had Away We Sail on that track, on that record, and Ride the Storm, Until Dawn. Like all of those tracks, the lyrics are sort of written in a way for you to interpret them as much as you like. Because to be honest with you, like Ignite the Flame and Ride the Storm are kind of almost like they're sort of like songs about like struggling with like confidence in but you can quite easily just apply them and think of like a cool hero, like sailing on the seas or running around slaying dragons, and that was sort of the point of them. So I'm like, having this world that people can refer to means that they can either listen to the lyrics. I mean, I'm not one for trying to do meaningful lyrics, but some of these lyrics were just coming to me for those songs, and I thought, that's actually quite powerful, like in a good way. I was like, if people say that they don't like them, or I just say, well, they're not about that. They're about, riding the storm. Is it about literally riding a storm, or is it, a metaphorical one?
I think that's a fun aspect listening to music in general sometimes. You have a song called Grimgotts Calling. It's my personal I need to kind of G myself up song. And of course, lyrically and how that plays that and stuff like that, it shouldn't necessarily do that aside from the tempo and the chorus and stuff like that. But I take it and use it as a build, I need a bit of pep in my step kind of thing.
Yeah, honestly, that brings such a smile to my face to hear you say that. Like, yeah, I love that song, and I do worry that it got lost with the remaster, and that we've got like two versions of it out there. I really do like that song, and it's so like, yeah,
When
it's
did you
just
fix that,
it's
do you
like a
think?
burst of energy song.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Do you think you can fix that? Because you said that very at the start of this interview about the whole two versions, and I don't know Spotify, of course, algorithms and all that, but I can't imagine it helps. Do you think you can fix that?
I don't think we can. It was definitely a mistake. I mean, it made sense because we then could have had, because we didn't really know what was happening with that record. It was a COVID record, so it was all over the place anyway. And then we were like progressing with it. And then the producer just said, well, if I remaster them, like, they'll all sound as similar as they can. So when you have an album, which is what you want, it'll sound more cohesive, like to the listener. And then we just didn't really think it through. And unfortunately, I don't think there is, because you do it for a dish an up like we do it for DistroKid.
Yeah.
So if you what you can do with DistroKid, if you Ancient the single will come out, they will be re-uploaded under the album, but they will be available as singles. And the player, I'm really sorry, my doorbell's just gone. It's going to be 10 seconds. I've literally just got to say to this bloke, it's around the back. I'll be 2 seconds. He's also 40 minutes late, which is annoying. Okay. Oh, cheers. My one. No, it was the postie. We're believing the person. So no, unfortunately not. I don't think so. Which is a great shame, but I like it is. Yeah, it is what it is. Do you know what?
It is what it is.
Now you've said it, part of me thinks I might get in touch with DistroKid and see if there's something we can do. But I think what the problem is that it recognizes it as like two different songs, basically.
Which is of course, yeah. I mean, obviously, one in the EP, one in the album. I think you're right. It is what it is, but it's still. I mean, they are available and they're out there, and I do urge people to check out that full album, the full Tales, Sagas and Legends album. But of course, we are mainly want to focus right now on September 27th for the new album, The Time of the Wolfrider. Andy, before you go, I just want a couple more minutes of your time, because at the end of every interview, we have this section. And this is Ozzy Osbourne. And in his head are cards, random cards of everything and anything, including many submissions by bands and artists over the years that we've chatted to. I just pull some out at random, basically.
Okay, cool. Yeah, of course. I've got loads of time, mate, so there's no rush at all.
No worries. All right, cats or dogs?
Cats.
Yeah, you got any?
Well, only a family one. I absolutely hate dogs.
Hate dogs.
I'm terrified of them. Yeah. I just every single dog that looks at me, I'm like, I'm just sure it's gonna go for me.
Oh no. Yeah, that's unfortunate. There are a lot of them about.
Yeah, I know. It's such an irrational fear.
What is a comedy film that always makes you laugh, no matter how many times you've seen it?
Ooh. If you say series, I can answer that one a bit better. I don't really
let's throw a series in as well.
Okay. So if it's a series, Peep Show, like every time, I just never seen anything quite. Nothing makes me laugh as much as Peep Show. It's just, I think it's the most perfect comedy. In terms of films, probably like I do like Superbad. I watched that recently. That was funny. I mean, it hasn't aged very well, but it was funny. Same with like the In-Betweeners movies. Like, I can't deny that when I was younger, like they spoke a lot to me.
Yeah.
I was like, this is exactly what happened to me growing up. But now looking back on me, like, oh, bloody hell, they are, like I say, they don't age very well, those films. But yeah, probably those two.
Most of that stuff doesn't age well, unfortunately. Okay, spring, summer, autumn, or winter. What kind of season are you?
Oh, summer.
Yeah, like the heat.
Don't get me wrong. Like I love, like like Norway is one of my favorite countries and stuff, and Finland's amazing, and so is Sweden. But this summer, I live by the sea and stuff, and I just every weekend when it's like gonna be good weather, we're like, yeah, swim. I love it. Love going on hot holidays to hot places and stuff. Going to Thailand in November. Just can't wait.
November in Thailand. What's the weather? Do you know what it is like over there?
Boiling.
Yeah,
should be unbearably hot. But yeah, I just can't. I hate being cold. I hate it.
Well, we are in September in England. Not that we get much of a summer over here, anyway. Really,
Mate, it's like 24 degrees today where I am.
It is a little. I'm in London and I'm sitting here in my hoodie and I'm feeling a little bit hot. So yeah, I do think you're right. Okay, what is your favorite musical, be it film or stage?
Oh, probably the Frankie Valli one, Jersey Boys.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, all over that,
What,
all over Frankie Valli.
just the songs? Is it because of the songs, the vibe? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good show. It's about how the Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, became the group they did become, and how they became the stars they became.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the music, I just love Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. I love it.
Fair enough. What did you want to be when you were growing up?
So a toss up between a football player and a singer.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Well, as the singer thing is working out, what was the football thing? Were you actually good at football?
I'm okay at football. I play a lot of football still, so I'm quite lucky in that respect. I get to play it quite often, but I'm not. I mean, I couldn't. I've got a much better. I'm a much better singer than I am football player. I'll just say that.
You play semi-professional, that kind of thing.
Oh gosh, no. Like I'm not even close to being that. I just play like
Fun.
just that local, like yeah, just like a fight, like eight-a-side sort of thing on a weekday night. I absolutely love it. It brings me so much joy. But yeah, no, I would say relatively speaking, I'm good at football. But if we were talking relative to people that play that even at like a local sort of level, I am rubbish.
Nah, fair enough.
So I live in a
Okay.
town called Chichester. If I was put in the Chichester town team, I would be the worst there. I would be such a burden.
All right. Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Yeah, I'm all for it. I don't mind it.
Don't mind it, or you would actually go out of your way to
Yeah,
eat it?
well, it wouldn't be my first choice, but if someone, yeah, my girlfriend normally gets Hawaiian, and I don't disrespect that decision.
Fair enough. You can learn a lot about a person by that question. Some people get really outraged by the concept of pineapple on pizza.
Life's too short to be outraged about stuff like that.
No, fair enough. Okay, what is a fun, and emphasis on the word fun here, conspiracy theory that you could be convinced is true?
Oh, I that is a tough one because I honestly don't know if I've ever thought about it.
Hmm.
What sort of examples have people given in the past?
The one that's come up a few times is that the birds don't exist and that they're all spy satellites for like governments and things like that. That is a bit that's a bit
Yeah, I definitely
mad.
don't. I guess the one thing which I do think is absolutely real, but I don't think it's controversial. I think most people think it. And bear in mind, so my main job is I'm like a digital marketer. That's what I do.
Yep.
I know that my phone is listening to me. It just
Yeah.
absolutely is. There's no chance it's not. And like, you know, I used to always argue that like, oh no, it's a coincidence. My girlfriend would be like, oh look, we were chatting about this. I was like, no, yeah, you're like an advert's come up because you've fallen into an audience but then like sometimes I literally say something so specific, and then I go on like my Instagram or whatever, and I'll be like, the hell. I'm certain they're listening.
I 100% agree. I'm like you, used to be quite dismissive of that. I don't really buy into too much of that stuff. However, many months ago, I was having a long conversation with my wife about fuel and products like that and cost effectiveness and stuff like that. For the last couple of months, I have been spammed non-stop on every social media platform with Huel. And there's no way that's a coincidence because I've never actively searched for it.
Yeah, absolutely. They're doing it 100%.
But hell, what are you going to do? As long as it doesn't ever get to the stage where, like, Futurama, it's in my dreams and I'm having ads in my dreams, it's okay.
Yeah. I'll wait to do
Okay,
that.
what's a recent experience that made you feel old?
I'm sorry, cut out a bit there. Recent experience that.
Made you feel old?
Well, certainly. So I went to Varken, which was this was a bit of a quite a big deal actually because I hadn't been. I used to go when I was younger, like much younger. And we just sort of, a couple of friends of mine were just like, oh, should we just go? And we just went for it. We went for it. And I was quite worried about, I remembered even when I used to go, I think the last time I went, I was like 24, I'm 32 now. I remember them having really good facilities, like good showers and really good toilets, and they do a really good job out there. I'm not sure if you have you been.
No.
It is remarkable, like in comparison to what you get in England. Like it is remarkable how good it is. And we turned up, and honestly, I have been. I went to Victoria's Festival just for the day, which is in Portsmouth, which is near to where I live.
Yeah.
Um, we just went for the day, and I was there with a girlfriend. No metal there. Headliners with Mumford and Sons, but don't get me wrong. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love Mumford and Sons, so I had no problems with it whatsoever. But
Yeah.
you know, in terms of like staying there, it looked like the pits. Like I would have been awful. But you turn up at Varkin, it's brilliant. You got amazing showers, toilets. You got breakfast tents. It's so good. I slept fine. I didn't drink as much because obviously I don't drink like spirits or wine. I only really solely drink beer just because my body just I must have had so much of it over the years that like I can get drunk with it, but I never get hangover or anything. I can have
Right.
you know what I mean? I can have like 8 to 10 pints and I feel absolutely fine the next day.
God damn. Lucky.
Yeah, it's awesome. But if I have like one shot of tequila, then like that's me destroyed. But I had nothing to worry about in terms of the festival. The one thing that I just couldn't hack was standing on my feet all day.
Yeah.
It was unbearable. I was watching Behemoth. I was like, I really want to finish the set, but I can't. I was like, I've got to go and sit down. And we stayed up. Avantasia started their set at midnight, and they finished at 2 in the morning. And it was obviously it's one of my favorite bands. I had to watch them, but that kind of destroyed me for the rest of the trip.
I can actually understand this, particularly from a European to UK festival perspective. So, we do Bloodstock every single year, and we pretty much start from the very first band, 10:30 in the morning, and go through to the headliners at night. So you're talking about 11:30, midnight. It can be exhausting, absolutely. I did Hellfest many years ago, and obviously bands go on till 2, 3 in the morning there. Couldn't hack it. And I was a lot younger then as well. Couldn't hack that extra couple of hours. Just wasn't mentally there.
Yeah, it's tough, and like I mean, the other example I could give you as well as I do a lot of like I said, I play football and also do running. It has now gotten to the point where if I don't like really stretch like beforehand or cool down, I can pull my groin like in an instant, like any turn of pace. And it's so depressing. I used to just be able to like get even just like a couple of years ago, I just wake up in the morning. I could run like 8, 10 miles, come back, have a shower. I'd be like, and my girlfriend would be like, oh, you need to stretch. I'd be like, no, I don't. Like, I'm fine. Now, if I don't stretch now after doing something like that, that's me done. I can't walk for days.
Oh man, the
It's
curse of getting
terrible.
older.
I hate it.
Okay then, so real positive then. What has been your favorite holiday destination to date?
Oh, that's such a good question. Oh, it's so hard because like, I've obviously got like you were chatting earlier about how I love the hot places and stuff, and I have been to several, but I think the most beautiful place I've ever been to is Norway. I think it
Yeah.
was such a stunning country. The people look amazing. Like they're just so much healthier than we are. They just look great. Their food's great. The air is so clean and clear. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful country. Um, and yeah, I've just never really been taken by a place, I think, as much as I have been. So yeah, I mean, close seconds would be probably Greece. Like
Yeah.
I think, again with I studied history at university, I did ancient history. So like that always has a little bit of a yeah, I just think it's I think it'd be quite an underrated country as well. People say that it hasn't got quite the sophistication to the likes of Italy and France, but I disagree. And then, like a little coming in third, I think the most underrated country in the whole world is Scotland. I mean, the Highlands are spectacular. Edinburgh, I've been to freaking almost every city on this continent, and I've never experienced a city I think better than Edinburgh. It's just so great. But yeah, so Scotland and Greece are close, sort of tied in second, but Norway, yeah, stunning.
Fantastic. All right, a couple more then for you. What classic video game would you like to see remade if you
Well,
play games?
well, this thing, that is such a funny that you've asked this because actually, like, I've got a couple of mates who I kind of stopped playing games at uni because it was Skyrim, and I got like way too obsessed with it. And there were so many games growing up that I was just got utterly obsessed with. Football Manager, that was like unbelievable, like the hours. But then my favorite one was Battle for Middle Earth. Don't know if you ever played that on PC.
But yeah,
I loved it so much, and my mates always saying to me, "Oh, why didn't you, log in and play like Age of Empires and stuff like that?" I'm like, can't be asked. But they did just remake Battle of Middle Earth,
yeah.
and they were like, "If you're not going to come back, if you're going to come back for any game, like it's surely that one." But unfortunately, yeah, it aligned in this period that I've had recently, when they were like, "Oh, do you want to play?" I'm like, "I'd love to, but I just can't look at a screen for very longer."
It's time investment, isn't it? It really is.
Absolutely.
All right, sticking with our website theme, what is a horror movie you always enjoy watching?
Um, I'm quite a big horror fan actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of there's something like even if the films are a bit like naff, like I still like really enjoy them. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's one of those things. I even though it's so like budget, I still think the Blair Witch Project. There's just something about like it's just how raw it is, and then obviously it was one of the first of its kind. Like I think that's an amazing film.
Mhm.
Um, but I think there was something about the Paranormal Activity like film that when it first came out, but the series has gone like they've just made a load
Of
of
course,
rubbish.
yeah.
Yeah, it's good. But that first one, that was I've never seen like as I've never had like been in a cinema where people were like, I need to leave. I remember like before I went in, I saw someone who I knew just gone in. They were like, don't go in. Like, and I think that I've never, just because I've never like seen any sort of horror film that had that sort of experience, like on an audience. Yeah, I think it's got to be that one.
I mean, they're both incredible choices, as you say. It's easy to kind of reflect upon those franchises and see what they became rather than what they started with.
Yeah,
Both being found footage movies. I despise found footage movies with a passion purely because of what they became. But
yeah,
obviously, I would not be stupid enough to not recognize the brilliance of the Blair Witch and, of course, Paranormal Activity, the very first one. Incredible
yeah,
movies.
yeah, yeah, 100%.
Okay, last but not least, then, what is something you would like to understand better?
Something I would like to understand better. Mm, Interest rates.
Oh my God. Okay. Is this because of home buying?
It's just that everything just like I'm like, what the hell? Like, what is affecting it? Like, because I'm saying like inflation's got to come down. I'm like, well, cost of living, people are still going out for like restaurants and everything. So like, obviously that's not having an impact on inflation. Like, there's too many variables. And then you think to yourself, like, right, is it because of the wars? Is it because of X, Y, and Z, or is it literally just some bloke sat in an office in London, just every summer going, do you know what? Let's increase them today, see what happens. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't get it. I don't understand. And there's a lots of things that no one understand. Google's algorithms, I don't know anything to do with finance, but I just would love to know, like, because it just impacts like people's lives to such an extent. And you want to be able to have some control, especially over something like money. You want to be on your money. You want to understand your money, and it just drives me insane that like I'm going to be remortgaging in like a year's time, and I'm like, I have no idea what is going to be. Like, I'm hoping that they're going to drop, but they might not. They
Yeah.
might go up, they might stay the same, and it's just like it's horrible. So yeah, that's my
Fingers crossed for your sake that it does drop significantly enough so that you obviously get a cheaper rate. I know that basic stuff there, but while that is incredibly boring, real life stuff, immerse yourself in fantasy with The Time of the Wolfrider out September 27th, 2025. for. Andy, I really appreciate you giving me an hour of your time.
Oh, no, mate, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at GBHBL. Just search for GBHBL and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.